What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another video. If you are new to the channel here, my name is Brandon. As always, we do have our Investing Academy. It's that first link down in the description below. But as we are coming to the end of the year, 2021, I took some time to kind of look back and reflect on some of the things that I kind of observed throughout the YouTube community, throughout just the market really in general. And we're gonna do a little segment here titled, "What happened to your favorite stock?" or stocks. And I don't mean to really bash anybody, anything of that sorts, but I really want this to be a learning lesson as we go into the new year. Hopefully now that we've had a bit of data that we can look back on, maybe we learned some painful lessons, or maybe there's some things we can take away from some of the mistakes we may have made as a YouTube community, as subscribers of this channel, as really just investors out there. And actually what I did before this video is I went back over the past year and basically sorted my comments by some of the most popular tickers that I got asked about. And here as a YouTuber, guys, I get asked about all kinds of stocks, but there were some common threads. And just to name a few of them, again, these aren't all of them, but let's start with just a few in no particular order. NIO. NIO was a stock that I just got bombarded with, especially with the rise of Tesla. Today, these shares are trading at about $30 per share, off about 50% off all-time highs. And of course, this was a stock that had a really great run-up in late 2020. And so far in the new year, the stock's pretty much been cut in half. Another stock that comes to mind, Beyond Meat. And this right here is the max performance chart. Today, they're trading at $69. If I were to just cherry pick from highs, these shares are down 70%. This is, of course, the plant-based meat company. Uber's another stock that I got a ton of questions on, especially when they did IPO. I know that was back in 2020. Nevertheless, since their highs in 2021, shares are down ballpark 35%. Zoom is a stock that during the pandemic, we all know and heard about. The amount of questions that I got on Zoom were just insane. The sell-off basically started here in late 2020, but these shares are down a ballpark about 65%. ARK Invest, we all know the story here of ARK Invest, Cathie Wood's flagship fund. These shares are down close to 40% in 2021 alone. This dates back a little bit longer, but we had stocks like Canopy Growth and Aurora Cannabis, which were at one point just the I don't even know what to say about these. The weed stocks is what we called them here in the YouTube community and on Reddit and whatnot. Well, these stocks have obviously played out very, very poorly. The Very Good Food Company, I don't know why I get so many questions about this stock, but this stock pretty much from the inception of this chart down 80%. Plug Power was another one which had a very, very tremendous run up in 2020. These shares are down off highs 50%. Even a stock like Palantir, which I don't know if I should throw into this category, but off highs, hey, these shares are down 45%. It's not to say that these companies are all garbage companies and that they are terrible stocks and that, you know, they have no future and no promise going forward. That's not what I'm trying to say. Some of them, I believe that is thoroughly the case, but not with every stock on this list. But if there was one common thread that I noticed being in the position that I was in, was that these stocks were all at some point, whether in late 2020 or 2021, these were the hyped stocks. These were the stocks that you were hearing about on the news. These were the stocks that were covered all over YouTube. And there's such a common thread on how this plays out when you do go after these hyped companies. You know, don't get me wrong, I have my list of companies that have fallen as well. I don't want to be, you know, cherry picking and saying, oh, my stocks went up and you know, these ones didn't. You guys know my story here with Alibaba. You guys know my story with Tencent. I've been wrong even on a couple of cases, like for example, one that comes to mind was Tesla, which is a stock that just did what I believe to be was a little bit irrational and continued to climb far beyond what I could have ever expected. But what I think should be a great takeaway for investors looking into year 2022 is that by the time you hear about an exciting stock, it has probably already gone through its run. And when we think about that from a psychological level, why we see these stocks bursted out and why they're getting all the coverage and why they're as exciting as they are, it's usually because they've already experienced their run of 100%, of 150%, of 200%. A great example, I think, is of Zoom. And people saying this is going to change the world. You know, new world, pandemic, everyone's going to be working from home. And in aspects and in respects, absolutely. Our world did go through a major change, and there are often very good reasons, and there's some very good logic behind why the stocks run up like they do. But when you do see these very, very good performances, like an ARK Invest, for example, the story just plays out over and over and over again. And I'll actually share with you guys here my portfolio. This is something that I really don't often do, but I want to show you guys, an example. And hopefully, you guys can see that I practice what I preach. Up on the screen, you're looking actually at my US dollar RRSP. So this is my registered retirement savings plan. I may blur out some information, maybe not, but I want you to go through some of the holdings on this list and tell me which of these stocks are hyped companies. Which of these companies in my portfolio would you say, oh my gosh, that stock is the hype stock of the month, or this stock got all the attention? To me, I don't really see any major names that stick out. Activision Blizzard, not a love stock. Google, our FANG stocks, Google and Amazon, of course, those are exciting, but not hyped to the point of a huge pump. I own a Chinese stock called Sports, which has done very, very well. Cisco, a boring old company. Coca-Cola, FedEx, Johnson & Johnson. These are your old, boring companies. Snapchat is obviously one of my more exciting ones, but it doesn't really represent much of my portfolio whatsoever. Tencent is a stock that, again, I'm down on, but I did have a good cost basis on Tencent. Visa is another stock that is not really all that exciting, and Walmart. But when you take a look at the gain-loss column, again, I do have a couple of losers so far in the portfolio, and ones that I firmly believe with time will provide me with a ton of green. I really do believe that. But this list just kind of goes to show that even the boring companies, even the slow and steady companies, the Walmarts, the Ciscos, the FedExes, you're not going to hear about these stocks on YouTube. Unless you have a channel that does cover it, but very often you're not going to have that. They're not going to be the stocks that you see on Reddit or that your coworkers are telling you they got a hot tip about. These are stocks that, however, will slowly chug along, and they'll slowly help provide gains for your portfolio. These returns that I'm looking at are obviously not even inclusive of dividends. This is just the capital appreciation. And I think the lesson should be that in exciting times that we live in, which we do, there's always some new exciting stocks. Honestly, at this given point, I don't feel that there's any market out there that's really, powering on, maybe other than cryptocurrency, which is crazy, although it is a bit volatile. But there's no real part of the market that I see right now that's screaming hot and it's on fire. But if you resort to these boring old steady stocks, they just chug along for you year after year after year after year. I think that what's important to understand is that I'm not trying to say that if you are approaching these exciting stocks with a short-term time frame that you can't do well. And that if you're willing to play the game of jumping in and jumping out and doing either some swing trades, maybe jumping in on a day-to-day basis or a month-to-month or week-to-week basis, absolutely, it's these types of exciting stocks where you can get these types of returns. But if you come into it with the approach of a long-term investor and you say, hey, I'm going to invest in this stock for the next 10, 15, 20 years. I see long-term potential in this. Too many people end up buying at the peaks thinking that, hey, this is such a great innovation, this is such a great product, with no regard for the price, that they end up essentially riding out the downward movement of these stocks. It kind of ends up biting them in the butt. And I think that's really what I really wanted you guys to take away from this video. Clearly, I haven't put together too much notes for this, but I did just want to come out and talk about it. Essentially saying that in the new year, take some of these lessons that you've kind of felt. Or maybe if you haven't personally taken any hits from this, learn from others, learn from people like myself. I haven't really taken too many hits of this nature because, again, my portfolio tends to stay away from these types of companies, but you do see it all the time. It's been slow now, and I don't really anticipate anything crazy happening from now till the new year, but in 2022, there's gonna be some new exciting stocks. There sure will be. Although you do have the outliers, like the Teslas, and even like a Bitcoin, which is something that a lot of people were unsure about, and even myself, again, I didn't foresee Bitcoin growing as fast as it has. Don't think that just because those two stocks have done what they have, Bitcoin's not a stock, but just because those two investments have done what they have, that you should expect every other company that you look for to be the next Tesla or to be the next Bitcoin, because I think the stock market has a way of punishing people that do have that train of thought. They take a scenario that has happened in the past and they just assume that that's just the way things happen, and that we can expect to see replicas of this, when in reality, I think some of these cases are very much outliers and they're very much unique. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about this topic. I'd love for you guys to kind of share if you feel comfortable with it down in the comment section below. Were there any stocks this year that you were badly burned on, and stocks that you may have either learned a lesson on or maybe are currently in the process of it? If you feel comfortable, guys, feel free to leave a comment down below. I hope that this served as a good PSA or a good public service announcement that we can take into the new year, just to remember that investing doesn't have to be all about chasing the most exciting thing. It doesn't have to be all flashy. It's kind of the boring, slow and steady investing practice that I think will do well over the long years. That's something that you can stick to. You can commit to that. You can stay disciplined to that without ever getting wiped out. And the crazy thing to me is, like, a lot of these stocks have been down, and they're down 30, 40, 50, 60% plus. We haven't really seen a full-blown market crash whatsoever. The market in general still tends to be doing pretty well. I know that's driven by a few major components, but imagine if we did go into a sustained period of drawdown, a sustained crash. Then what do you think is going to be happening with stocks like the very good food company? No offense to anybody that likes that company, but hey, it's just a question to ponder. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, take a moment and subscribe. It's been a bit slow over the holiday season, and I don't anticipate that picking up because I'm working on a bunch of filming for the Academy for the next little while. But in the new year, I promise I'm gonna be back with so many more videos. That's kind of my tipping point where I'm just gonna start grinding it out and pumping out the content for you guys. So make sure you're subscribed. As always, we do have our Investing Academy as that first link down in the description below. If you're somebody that needs courses and training in the stock market in Canada, you don't quite know what to do, you need a push, a helping hand, a pathway to follow, click that first link down below because we offer them all in a video training course. So fun, so easy to absorb. But as always, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.